Hi everyone, in today's video we'll cover useContext hook, which is a hook that you need to know when you work with really big project. You will learn what is useContext hook and when to use it. But before we start our video, if you're someone who starts learning React and wanna master it and become a better React developer, I would recommend subscribe to my channel. Really big channel will teach you all you need to know in React library and make sure you have a good deep understanding in React. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to subscribe to won't miss our new videos. So why we need to use context hook? So context provides a way to pass the data or state through the component tree without having to pass props down manually through each nested component. It is designed to share data that can be considered as a global data for a tree of React components, such as the current authenticated user settings and more. In our example here we have two states, name and email. So we are passing those states to the component 2 as props. So we are taking these two values of the states and we send it to the component 1, and the component 1 is gonna take those props and it's going to send it to the component 2 as a prop, and then the component 2 is gonna take those two props and gonna display them here. And you can see that if our app gets bigger, it will be really difficult to sending the data as a props to the child component. Now I know this is really oversimplified example, but I want to give you an idea of what you need to do to use context hook. So how we can use the use context hook in React? Using the context in React requires three simple steps: creating the context, providing the context, and consuming the context. So now the first thing we need to do here is we need to import create context. And then outside of our component, our parent component, we need to make a variable. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm going to name it context. And this context is going to take the create context function, and you can pass any type of value you want. It doesn't really matter. And then over here in the parent component, you need to make a tag and type inside of it a context or the name that you put over here to take the value of this function, and then you put the dot provider, and and this is used to provide the context to its child components, no matter how deep they are. So to send these two states to the child component, there is a property called value, and this value is going to take all the states and values that you want to pass it to the child components. So in our example here we have two values. So to pass those two values we need to make an object, and inside of it we put the name, we put those two states that we want to pass. So here we are going to pass the name state and the email, and then I'm going to remove the props that we use it in the first example over here. So this we are going to remove them. So and now the last step is by consuming the context in the child component by using the use context. So first we needed to import it over here, and you needed to make a variable You can name it whatever you want, but I'm going to name it value. And this value is going to, or we can name it values, you know. And this values is going to take the use context, and inside of this use context function we are going to put the context that we put it here. And now if I save the changes, we have an error. So first we needed to export it. I forgot to export the context, and here we need to import this context. And if I, for example, console log to see the values that we imported and go to our console over here, you can see we get the email and the name that we wanted. So all left to do here is just display them. So we put the values that name over here, and same thing with the email, and save the changes. Now as you can see, we did the same thing as a prop, but think about when your app gets bigger. This is where useContext is really useful tool to help you out, to make it easy for you to import the states to the little child components. Okay, so I hope this video makes sense, and if it does, please drop like and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.